Well, what's happening, DC fans? Welcome back to my channel. I am the Al Vince. To those of you who are new, this is a channel talking about all the things in the world of movies, TV, nerd and geek culture. So if you guys love talking about any of that stuff and enjoy my content, I hope you strongly consider hitting the thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. And please, hit that bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. So, I hope everyone had a great holiday. I hope everyone's continuing to stay safe with everything going on in the world today. We're almost done with 2020, guys. We're almost there. 2021 is just around the corner. But until then, I wanted to leave you guys with one more movie review for 2020. I wanted to talk about Wonder Woman 1984 that came out Christmas Day and is simultaneously being released in theaters and on HBO Max. I watched this on HBO Max because where I'm located, there's not a lot of theaters open in my area. I live in Michigan, by the way. But yeah, I wasn't able to watch this in the theater, so I had to watch it on HBO Max. But to any of you guys that are close to a theater, and if Wonder Woman's playing in your area, I hope you guys still go out to the theater and go watch it. Hope you guys still support the movie and support the theater experience. Oh, just to let you guys know, this is going to be a non-spoiler review. The movie just came out on HBO Max and stuff, so I want to save my spoiler thoughts when I have a big spoiler podcast for it. I'm going to have some of my colleagues and panelists on the podcast. We're going to have a huge spoiler discussion on it, so tune in for that when it comes out. So, if you guys have been following my channel, back when I was called D-Wizzle, I talked about the first Wonder Woman movie. I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. I thought it was a good movie. That was the first movie I saw from Patty Jenkins, and I thought she did a good job with the film. And I especially loved Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot really surprised me because before then I was not a big fan of hers. I saw her in the Fast and Furious movies, and I didn't think she was good in those films. I thought her acting was pretty flat, and she didn't look like the character to me. So I was really surprised that Zack Snyder got her to be one of the most iconic female superheroes of all time. I thought that was a big mistake on their part. But with seeing her in Batman v Superman and seeing her in the first Wonder Woman movie, she really surprised me. She really improved as an actress, and she has personality, she has a presence, and she's starting to look more and more like the Wonder Woman character, to where I couldn't see anyone else in the role. Like she really encapsulated the character to me. But even though I liked the first Wonder Woman movie, I didn't love it. Yeah, I didn't think it was great. I know a lot of people loved the first Wonder Woman movie. I know because I know that my review for the first film wasn't really getting the best feedback. I know a lot of people weren't a fan of my Wonder Woman review. I was kind of critical on the first movie. I had problems with it. I just felt like it was a bit too corny for me, and the tone of the movie, felt a bit surface level. And I felt that the climax, I felt that was a bit of a mess. I know a lot of people, were very vocal on, the third act of Wonder Woman, saying that it was a bit all over the place. I'm one of those people that agreed. Though recently found out that it wasn't necessarily Patty Jenkins' fault. It was the studio trying to push a big climactic battle at the end. So Patty had to, adhere to the studio to an extent. So I don't necessarily blame Patty for that. But regardless of that, I wasn't a huge fan of the first Wonder Woman movie. And this is coming from a person that that I actually am a fan of Zack Snyder's tone for the DC movies. I love the Man of Steel, and I enjoyed Batman v Superman, and I I'm more into the toned, the grounded structure that Snyder has. And it's like with the first Wonder Woman movie, while it did feel in line with Snyder's stuff, I felt like it was trying to be a little bit more like a little more light in tone and a little bit more humorous and not as deep, not as somber. So I mean that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't want every DC movie to feel the same, but I just am more attracted to what Snyder does with his movies. So regardless of that, I was still really looking forward to a sequel to Wonder Woman. And when I heard that the sequel was going to be in 1984, the time period was going to be set in 1984, I was like, yeah, let's go. I think that's pretty cool. That each movie we get a Wonder Woman, it could be set in a different time period. I think that helps to make it more unique and fresh. So I was definitely up for it. But when it came to the marketing of Wonder Woman 1984, I wasn't too impressed on it. I know the marketing didn't really blow me away. I was not keen on Kristen Wiig being cast as Cheetah. Kristen Wiig is kind of hit or miss for me. She, another one of those, comedic actors from Saturday Night Live, being cast in a big budget movie, blockbuster, whatever. I wasn't too fond on Kristen Wiig being cast as Cheetah. I'm not the biggest fan of hers, and like overall I don't know, the marketing just kind of confused me more than anything because like I didn't know what the movie was about. Like it didn't give me an idea of what the premise of it is. And as far as the whole aesthetic of 1984, I don't know. It felt like it was doubling down on the light-heartedness of the first movie. I know that Patty Jenkins said that she was highly influenced on the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and I kind of felt that in the first movie. So I was kind of expecting them to double down on that, which I'm not too interested in that, to be honest. That's not something I necessarily want to see with Wonder Woman or any of the DC movies, to be honest, because the Christopher Reeve stuff worked for a certain time period, so I don't really care for them bringing that into the modern day. But that's what the trailers kind of seemed. It seemed like it was a lot more over the top, a lot more bright and colorful, and a lot more cheesy. So I don't know. I wasn't too fond on that. And there were some early reviews of this movie pretty much saying the stuff that I was worried about, being like it was more over the top than the first movie. It was a lot more cheesier than the first movie. And the plot didn't make that much sense. So I was going into this movie kind of apprehensive, but I was hoping for the best because I still did like the first Wonder Woman movie. And if it's at least the quality of that, even though there might be some stuff I don't like tonal-wise and structure-wise, script-wise, if it's anything like the quality of the first movie, I will be okay with it. I'm not expecting anything great. I was expecting something probably, if it was like, probably average. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, after watching this movie, I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well done. I think I may like this more than the first movie, and I didn't really expect to. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. Patty Jenkins once again did a really good job directing this film. I feel like she really understands the Wonder Woman character, and I feel like she was tasked to bring two different sides of Wonder Woman that people still argue about to this day. Do they want to see like the warrior side of Wonder Woman, or do they want to see the more the peacemaker side of Wonder Woman? I felt like Patty did a good job with both aspects. The first movie leaned more towards the warrior aspect, and this movie felt more in line with the peacemaker aspect. But regardless of which side that you're on, I still think that Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman pulled it off. She is great in this movie. I loved Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She was much better than how she was in the first movie, and I really liked her in the first movie. But in '84, I feel like she's actually comfortable in the role. I feel like she's more confident with this character, and it shows on film. Like she's just a burst of energy whenever she's on screen. Like I always want to watch her. Not only is she gorgeous, but it's just like her personality. It just brings warmth whenever she smiles. Whenever she's talking to people, it's like I'm always engaged with her. So I have to give props to her because this is the girl that came from Fast and Furious, and she's come so far from those movies. She's really becoming a great actress. The overall aesthetic of 1984 I actually really liked as well, and that was one of the things I was kind of worried about, the overall aesthetic, because it can either look really cool or it can come off really hokey and cheesy. And I'll say this, like towards the beginning it was a little cheesy, but that's something that I expected. But at the same time, the cheesiness actually wasn't that bad in this movie. It fit with the tone of the film, where it's like with the first movie, I felt like some of the cheesy moments didn't fit as good. This one, I felt like the comedic stuff, it felt more natural. But yeah, just the overall, like just seeing the towns and people's wardrobes, and how the culture is. I thought it was engaging. I really liked it, and it made it fresh from the first movie, because this is a different time period, different aesthetic. So I liked that. I thought the overall action sequences were really well done. As you said, like it really depends, like if you lean more towards the the warrior Wonder Woman or the peacemaker Wonder Woman. It's a different style of fighting that we've seen from the first movie, but I still felt it was consistent with Wonder Woman. And I thought the action sequences were really good in this movie. I liked them. There wasn't as much action as there was in the first movie, but that stuff didn't really bother me because I thought the story for this movie was actually really good. I thought the script was stronger in this than it was in the first movie. I found myself more engaged. Because for one thing, there's not a lot of, Diana being Wonder Woman in this movie. And it didn't really bother me because I was really engaged with her as a character. So it's like she was just as interesting, being a regular civilian as she was being a superhero. So that's one thing that I thought was really strong, and that was something they carried on from the first movie as well, because I was just as invested in her as she wasn't as Diana, and how she was as Wonder Woman. Another one of the highlights for me in this movie is the opening sequence in Themyscira. I thought that was overall great. It's always great to go back to Themyscira, but yeah, I thought that overall sequence with the the Amazon Olympic race stuff, I thought that was really good. If I could nitpick that a little bit, I did think it was kind of hokey that they had Diana be this little girl competing against the adult Amazons. Like, I thought that was a little cliche, but I know they were trying to appeal to a younger audience with that sequence, trying to be a little more whimsical, I guess, which it's fine. I feel like the scene would have been a little bit more effective if they got like a teenage girl to do the race instead of just as she looked like she was like 11 or something like that. So I think it would have been more effective if she was like a teenager, maybe like a young adult or something like that. But outside of that, though, I still thought the Themyscira sequence was great. That was one of the highlights of the film for me as well. Another thing that surprised me was Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. She really surprised me in this movie, man. Like, there's a lot of things that going into this that I thought wasn't going to work very well, but they ended up being really good. Kristen Wiig was one of them. I thought she was very good as Cheetah. For some people I know, they'll probably think that she's kind of corny. She's kind of dorky and awkward, maybe a little over the top in certain moments. I could see that towards the beginning, like she's playing that awkward nerd, but and I know we've seen that before in other movies like Batman Forever, The Incredibles, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Iron Man 3, but I think she was different from all those portrayals, because like she was awkward in this movie at first, but even when she was awkward, I didn't feel like it was too much. I didn't feel like it was annoying. I didn't feel like she was in a different movie. It felt natural to the structure of the film. She came off endearing, She came off natural. I know awkward people that act like that. I could consider myself one of them, I have my awkward nerdy moments, but with her it came off genuine, it came off charming. And when she's interacting with people, especially when she's interacting with Diana, I really liked the interaction they had. And she was just engaging to watch, and I didn't think I would care that much for Kristen Wiig, but I thought she did a good performance. And then later on in the movie, when she starts to transform into the antagonist, I thought all that was really well done. She showed a lot of range in this movie, and plus her backstory was actually she actually had a good backstory. I thought she's one of the stronger villains in the DCEU. I found myself really sympathetic towards her character, and that's something I couldn't really say for any of the villains in the first movie. I felt like the villains were underdeveloped, especially Ares. I felt like he was a bit of a letdown, but with Cheetah, I thought she was done really well. And speaking of villains, let's talk about Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was just great. He is also one of the standouts of this movie. I didn't even recognize that was Pedro Pascal at first. When I saw the marketing for this movie, I didn't even know that was him. But that just blew me away. He really transformed himself to this role. Just him as the maniacal businessman, craving power. I thought that was just really interesting. And, he's not one-dimensional about it either. He actually has a compelling backstory as well. I like the development that he has with his son, trying to prove himself to be a great dad to his son, but also, striving for this power and stuff like that. I thought all that was really interesting. Man, Pedro has been on a roll between this and The Mandalorian. Man, Pedro is just I've just been on a roll. That's all I can say. He's doing great work. All right, let's talk about the Steve Trevor stuff. So I really liked Chris Pine as Steve Trevor in the first movie. I thought his chemistry with Diana is some of the best stuff in the first Wonder Woman movie, and also in this film as well. Just Diana and Steve Trevor, I think they're absolutely great together. This is probably one of my favorite romances in comic book movies in general. I just love seeing those two. They have just an amazing chemistry that you feel the love between the two. And I also really liked the development that Diana had before Steve Trevor got into the picture of, her being lonely, dealing with the fact that Steve was gone, and she doesn't want to move on. Steve Trevor is one of the few things that made Diana really happy. The scene with them reuniting again, I thought was absolutely beautiful. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. The way he comes back, it's kind of strange a little bit. I have some issues with it. Just the I'm not necessarily have a problem with how he came back. It's the way he came back. That was the one thing I was felt was kind of off about it. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. I don't want to get too much into detail, but yeah, just I didn't have a problem with him coming back necessarily. It just depends how it fits in the structure of the movie, and I thought the way they worked him into the film, I thought was actually pretty good. So that's another thing I was kind of worried about going in. But yeah, Steve Trevor I thought was great. Once again, without giving too much away, this is a MacGuffin movie. It does have to do with a certain object that all the characters are trying to go after, and this object does have to do with stuff with Steve Trevor and stuff like that. But I don't know. I wasn't really bothered by the whole MacGuffin plot line. I know it's something that we've seen over and over again in films, and it's not really that complicated of a story. But I felt the way they executed in this film, I thought it was done well. And the plot for the first Wonder Woman movie wasn't that complicated either, so like I wasn't really expecting that for the second movie, which is fine. Like I said, I don't expect everything in DC to have this super complicated, intricate storyline that's super deep and all this stuff. So it's like Wonder Woman, more of a crowd pleaser. He's simple to understand, so it's like that's fine. But yeah, as I said, I thought the way it was executed, I thought it was done well, and the climax, the third act and all that stuff, I thought was a lot better than it was in the first movie. That was one of my big problems with the first film. That the climax, I thought, it fell apart for me. And now that I'm invested in these villains with Maxwell Lord and Cheetah, I feel more engaged in the third act, and it wasn't as over the top and overblown as the first movie was. It actually, I mean, yes, you still had your spectacle and your villain battle when we all saw it in the trailer with Wonder Woman in her gold armor. I thought that was awesome, and she's fighting off Cheetah. I thought that was a really good sequence. I heard some criticisms that they thought the fight wasn't that long. They wanted to be more drawn out. I personally didn't feel that. I thought the fight that we got, I still thought was effective. I think we got just the right amount of Cheetah in the movie. If I can nitpick some things, like I wish there was more of a lead up to Kristen Wiig becoming Cheetah. If it did feel a little sudden. I mean, there was some dialogue before then that kind of alluded to the fact that she may turn into a Cheetah, but to the casual moviegoer, if they didn't pick up on that stuff, they'll probably think that her becoming a Cheetah towards the end was kind of random. So I just wish there was more indication of her becoming Cheetah. Like maybe she could talk about how she likes, that Cheetah's maybe her favorite animal. I mean, they did have her wear cheetah prints for some of her outfits, so I guess you could allude to that. But it's like, why a cheetah necessarily? Like, talk about, I know there's the Apex Predator line, I guess, but it's like, double down on that a little bit more, just to give an indication to the audience that this is what's about to happen. She's about to turn into this, cheetah lady with super strength and agility. But outside of that, I actually didn't mind her design. I know that's something that a lot of people didn't love, that her overall design as Cheetah. I actually thought it worked. It worked a lot better than I thought. The first images I saw of it, I was like, yeah, it did look kind of wonky, but like in the context of the film, I thought it worked a lot better. But I thought that third act was really good, and just there was a really emotional part of that final climax sequence that I thought it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And this one of the things that I really loved about Wonder Woman is that she does bring that whole emotional, optimism with these films. Like, I know a lot of people expecting this from like Superman or stuff like that, but I feel like this fits a lot better with Wonder Woman. It just fits a lot better with her character. A lot of people could think that's kind of sappy, and I do get it, but like, I didn't care because I was invested in her character. I'm invested in her story. So that stuff didn't really bother me. I was along for the ride. And honestly, it's not just that that climax that was really emotional. There was like a lot of really good emotional beats throughout the film, which made me overlook some of the, the stuff that the plot wise that that I had questions about. This is a really feel good movie. There's some other surprises that I don't want to give away in this review, that what it has to do with Wonder Woman's abilities in this film. There's stuff that harkens to the comic books that I thought was really good. And that's another one of those things that it does feel kind of convenient for her to shell out some of the abilities that she has in this movie. But I don't know, I guess it didn't really bother me because I was along for the ride. It was like it's a big spectacle, over the top movie, but I didn't feel it was so out of left field where I was taken out. So I don't know, that's just me. One other thing I felt could have been better, I think that the pacing in this movie was a little slow towards the middle. This movie's 2.5 hours, and I did kind of feel it. There's some scenes with Maxwell Lord that I felt could have been cut or been a little bit shorter, and there's some scenes with Diana and Steve, with them going after the MacGuffin in the movie. I felt those could have been a little shorter. I don't think I would cut anything with Steve and Diana because I think all their scenes are great, regardless of the pacing. But I just felt like there's some moments that could have been a little bit shorter. And as I said, this is a little bit more over the top and a little bit more cheesy. More of the '80s aesthetic. So it's not going to be as like serious or cerebral as the first film. And to those of you who are fans of the tone of the first movie, I don't know how you're going to feel with this movie, but I personally feel like it was consistent. It's just in a different time period, so of course there's going to be stuff tonal wise that's not going to be the same. Like, they were in World War I in the first film, so I wasn't expecting that in the second movie. But to those of you who like more of the serious Wonder Woman, more of the warrior Wonder Woman, may not love this as much, but I still think you'll have a good time with it. I still think you'll enjoy Gal Gadot as the Wonder Woman and Chris Pine as Steve Trevor. And I do think that the villains are very well developed, so at least I think you'll be invested in that stuff. But overall, I really enjoyed Wonder Woman 1984. I thought it was very well done. It pleasantly surprised me. But yeah, there may be some people that still prefer the first movie over 84. I'm one of those people that I think I like this more than the first movie. Like, I think I would prefer to watch this over the first film. And I still like the first film, but I just feel like this movie did more for me, script-wise and character-wise, and just overall set-piece-wise. I thought it was just it was more entertaining for me. So overall, I think for right now, I'm feeling a good B+ on this movie. I thought it was really good. I'm gonna watch this a couple more times before I do the spoiler podcast with my colleagues. See if my opinion is the same by the time we get to the podcast. But yeah, overall, I still highly recommend seeing this film if you haven't already. But to those of you who have seen Wonder Woman 1984, what did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Do you like this more than the first movie? Or do you guys think it's not as good as the first movie? Comment below and let me know. But yeah, so I think this will be my last review for 2020. So I will see you guys in the new year, and I hope you guys had a happy holiday, and I hope you guys have a good new year, and I will see you guys in 2021 with more reviews and more talking more about film and everything else in the nerd and geek culture. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.